Melted pot? Explain. Melted pot? What the hell is melted pot? Explain, man. Explain. Welcome to the Melted Pot Podcast.
They say, don't use it, you lose it. Truth is, true shit. Scared of my power, I didn't do
Welcome
shit.
to the Melted Pot
Out of sight, out of
Podcast.
mind,
I'm your
I'm
host, Jason Gunn. We got a real treat for us today on the show. We got a special guest. He goes by the name of Tony Jones. He is the beat writer for the Utah Jazz at the Salt Lake Tribune. We want to go ahead and give him a warm welcome. Tony, thanks for joining us tonight.
What's going on, man? How's everything? Thanks for having me, Jay.
Not a problem. It's more of a thanks from us to you, my man. Pretty much, here we are. It's funny how time flies. NBA is back.
Yeah, it was a short off season, and it was to me it was one of the best and most eventful off seasons that I think that we've ever had in this league in terms of player movement, elite player movement, and free agency drama, and really nice NBA draft, really strong rookie class coming in. So it's really going to be a really intriguing season.
Yeah, I bet. Let me tell you, they are definitely coming in on the thunderless toes of the NFL. That offseason was busy. Man, they were busy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait for the games to get started because I think it's going to be a real competitive season.
So, what's it like covering the Jazz, man? I mean, especially with the way that things went down this summer. What's the air like over there?
Well, it was crazy for that was the word to use it because I think deep down inside I think Jazz fans knew that there was a chance that Gordon Hayward, their best player, could go to Boston, but I think that they thought that they had a really good chance to keep him in a Jazz uniform, and certainly if they did lose him to the Celtics, they didn't. Nobody expected the way it went down. Nobody expected that Gordon Hayward would do a 2,200-word essay for Players Tribune, or that there would be the back and forth that there was on the day that he made his decision. I think it was one of those things where Hayward left, and it was really tough for Jazz fans to deal with, and then there was a flurry of free agency signings, and now the Jazz are going into the season with kind of a mystery team. Like, they know Rudy Gobert is one of the best centers in the league. They know that Ricky Rubio is going to be there, but there's a lot of unknowns. Right. On the roster, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered with them.
Well, listen, I know you're out there in Utah, and I wanted to make sure that our Utah fans are welcome. You know what I mean? So we would talk about everybody's team and show love, and all of that. But I guess I want to say the frenzy in the NBA with trades and everything all kicked off with Butler. Am I right? There were so many moves. I can't. Yeah, I think he kicked it off.
Yeah, on draft night, Butler got traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves on draft night, and then shortly after that, Paul George got traded to the Thunder, and then Carmelo got traded, and so that it was actually Kyrie Irving got traded before Carmelo.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't think we've seen a summer where, you've had that number of, that amount of like really, really recognizable, talents, change teams, and and do it in the way they did. I mean, as everybody knew that Jimmy Butler wanted out, because the Bulls weren't going anywhere. So, he got out, and everybody knew Paul George wanted out because the Pacers weren't going anywhere. But then, the Kyrie Irving thing, that was just kind of a bombshell because, nobody expected Kyrie to say, hey, I don't want to play with LeBron James anymore. So it was, you got to give a round of applause to the NBA offseason because I don't think there was ever a dull moment in the offseason this year.
I was just about to say that, man. It was like, get your popcorn. We're not done yet. Like you watch the Warriors win a championship, and in the fashion that they won it. Shouts out to KD. Today is his birthday, right? But it's like man, it was like championship. It was like draft. It was like popcorn. It was like trade this, that. The Houston Rockets got sold. Like things that we just were not expecting to happen this offseason.
Well, I think, if you look at it, the reason why everything happened the way they did, I think it's in large part because of how dominant Golden State was. So right now, the rest of the league at the end of last season was so far behind Golden State that the remainder of the league is trying to catch up. So, you have a Golden State team that has Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Those are 4 of the top 15 or top 20 players in the NBA, all in one starting lineup. Plus, they have, arguably the best bench in the NBA, led by Andre Iguodala. So, the league, the question at the end of the year was, okay, what's the league going to do? Are they going to kind of be passive and wait until, Golden State's run is over, or are they going to do whatever they can do? Is the league going to do whatever it can do to challenge Golden State and, try to get to the level that they're currently at right now? And, and to the credit of the league, the league has tried to get better. Because Houston, I think it started with Houston when Houston was like, okay, we're going to trade for Chris Paul and we're going to swing for the fences. We don't know if Chris Paul and James Harden can play together, but we're going to find out. And then, people saw that, and now what you have pretty much super teams around the league, and I think the league is more competitive now on paper than it was last year. Like, I can see an avenue for Oklahoma City with Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. I can see them taking a Golden State to a 6-game series or a 7-game series. I can see Cleveland. I think Cleveland got deeper. I think they got better. I can see Cleveland, being better than, just going out in 5 games like they did last year. So I think, what has happened is we have a more competitive league, and I think Golden State has more competition than they did. They're still the best team, and they still should be the prohibitive favorite, but they're not quite as prohibitive as they were last year.
Well, you didn't mention LeBron James's name at all. My question is this, right? Is all of this being done to balance out the league, or is it being done to drown out LeBron James and his legacy?
Well, I think all of it is being done, to try to topple Golden State. And LeBron and his legacy, it's not completely written, and he's going to be able to compete for a championship this year. And that's his expectation from year to year. And I don't think that expectation changes or should change any drastically this year. Speaking of LeBron James, shouts out to the Winner's Circle on Facebook. Because that's always a topic in there. So, but I think when we look at LeBron, I think I don't think any NBA all-time great has had to deal with a team like Golden State, you know, in terms of trying to be the team that's you know, has 2 top 5 players overall and 2 more top 20 players. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how LeBron, you know, reacts this year to not having Kyrie Irving. But you know, it'll be interesting to see how this year plays out for him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that, and him joining back up with D Wade. You know, they're already starting to say which team's going to be more exciting to watch, the Warriors or the Cavs. So it seems like everybody wants to see that finals matchup again. But I will say this: I don't think it's going to be as easy as it usually is. Like you mentioned before, there should be a little bit thicker grass to cut through to get to the dance. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Boston Celtics are really good. You know, I think the Washington Wizards have a chance to be pretty good. You know, I'm definitely interested to see how Boston reacts to this year. You know, not only do you have Kyrie Irving, you have Gordon Hayward, and you know, they have to integrate young guys in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum into what they're doing. But Boston's got, basically they got Kyrie, and they have a bunch of 6'8" guys that could just that could shoot and dribble and switch defensively.
Yeah, they're very athletic.
So yeah, it's a very unique roster, and I think Brad Stevens is one of the top 3 coaches in the NBA. So
great coach.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how the Celtics do this year as well.
They definitely gave the Cavs a run for their money. It'll be interesting to see if they get back to where they were last year. That'll be awesome to see. Also, not to skip over to bad news, but what do you think about Porzingis? Do you think that he is ready to take the Knicks over and be a leader, or is this just mentoring phases for him? As far as bringing in the rookie point guard with Frank and having the guidance from Jarrett, Jack, and the rest of the company that joined the team this summer.
Well, I mean, they're gonna, Porzingis is going to have to, and whether he's ready or not, he's not a face of their franchise, and he's the face of the longest standing franchise in the league in league history. So. He's going to have to not only lead on the court, but he's going to have to lead off the court. I think it's something that he wanted, and I think it is something that he feels that he's ready for. The problem is, he's got just more challenges, than somebody his age should have. I mean, He's dealing with a roster that's really not great, so he's going to have to really lead this roster. He's dealing with a front office that's dysfunctional and doesn't make good decisions. Like the Carmelo Anthony trade was not good because they willingly traded for Enes Kanter, who's one of the 3 or 4 worst defenders in the league, and he has a contract that's worth almost $20 million a year. So it's a roster that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense logistically.
It's probably due to
Porzingis.
You think it's due to the fact of the changing guard?
Well, I mean, it was Phil didn't do the roster any favors. Phil Jackson didn't really roster any favors, but when you're Steve Mills and you trade for Enes Kanter, I mean, you kind of deserve what you're going to get. Okay. And you're going to get a guy who can't defend. I mean, he can score on one end, but he's going to be a turnstile defensively. So, it was, I know they had to trade Carmelo Anthony, but they should have, they should have figured something else out, or even kept him rather than trading for an Enes Kanter.
That's segueing into where I wanted to head next, as far as getting back to off-season moves. Do you kind of think that the players and teams, the players mainly are getting frustrated with trying to chase a championship and not wanting to see what can develop, or if a team's not moving fast enough. You think that's gone, that loyalty? It's like, I want to do this now, or so I'm moving this way. Do you think that's gone?
Well, I think to a degree it is, because I think if you look at a player and you look at your life cycle in the NBA. I mean, most the life expectancy of an NBA player in terms of having a career is, if you're really good, you'll get 10 years. So if you're Carmelo Anthony, I mean, you just spent, you don't want to, guys, I think guys look at people like Carmelo Anthony and say, I don't want to be Carmelo Anthony. I don't want to spend my entire prime year, the prime of my career, getting wasted. So that's why, you're seeing guys sign contracts with outs after 3 years. So they're signing shorter contracts, and, they're giving themselves more flexibility in terms of keeping destiny in its hands. And if you look at the loyalty of NBA players, no, a lot of them are not loyal. And should they be loyal? No. I mean, Isaiah Thomas basically, busted his hip playing for the Boston Celtics, gave his heart and soul to that organization. And as soon as the opportunity to trade for Kyrie Irving came, Isaiah Thomas was gone. So loyalty doesn't go both ways. If you're LeBron, or if you're Kevin Durant, or if you're Stephen Curry, or if you're Kawhi Leonard, basically those are the top four players in the league. If you're one of those four guys, then, obviously any organization is going to be loyal to you. But if you look at Boogie Cousins, who's absolutely a top 15 guy. Some would probably say top 10. And he got traded. You look at Anthony Davis, and if the New Orleans Pelicans don't play well this year, you're going to see a whole bunch of stories, speculating on whether he's going to be traded or not. So, unless you're the elite of the elite, you're not going to see loyalty from your organization. So
you're saying,
why should you not?
So you're saying,
why should you not?
We're never ever going to see another Tim Duncan. 19 years.
Think we'll ever see another Tim Duncan. I don't think we'll ever see. But Tim Duncan was, perennially a top 5 guy in his prime. So, I think, if Tim Duncan was somebody that wasn't Tim Duncan, I mean, would the Spurs be loyal to him? So it's really, it's really one of those things where I don't think, I think if you're a player, you gotta keep your business sense about you, because it is a business.
Hey, they're flipping the basketball burgers. I'll tell you that much. That boy Russell
absolutely.
Westbrook, just, man, what a contract. Now here, segueing over to that, not only did he sign a new contract extension for the next, I think it's 5 or 6 years. I'm looking at 205 or 233. I'm not sure which one it is. But on KD's birthday, is that chalking up to being petty?
I think it was petty. It was pretty petty libellish of him.
Petty libellish.
I absolutely think he was petty wop there. And I think I really do think it was kind of petty of him to do that. But I mean, it was definitely a Russell Westbrookish thing.
He was happy to flip that petty burger. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. It was absolutely petty, and it was it's interesting. I mean, to see him, I think, that was a case of, okay, you know, Russell Westbrook and Sam Presti, the general manager of the Oklahoma City Thunder, last year had a conversation, and, Presti said to Westbrook, look, give me a year. And this was after they lost KD. And he said, give me a year, I'll figure this thing out. So, it takes a year. He has a great offseason. He acquires Paul George and he acquires Carmelo Anthony for next to nothing. So it was like, okay, I held up my end of the bargain. Let's work on signing that extension. And I think, both of those two parties kind of looked at it as in a business sense, and the trust was there, and I think you're going to see Westbrook finish his career out with the Thunder.
I think that's a good look, and he's getting better every year, man. I tell you, watching him play is amazing.
Well, I think it was a win for the NBA, and I'll tell you why. Because you had seen, you saw Kevin Durant leave Oklahoma City for a bigger market. You saw Gordon Hayward leave the Utah Jazz for a bigger market. So you were seeing stars that were unrestricted free agents leaving small market teams, leaving good small market teams, because the Jazz were a 50-win team last year and a second-round playoff participant, and KD left a Western Conference finalist. So you were seeing stars leaving small market teams to go to big markets, and these small market teams had spent years and years and years developing these guys, only to lose them for nothing. So the fact that Russell Westbrook, is staying there and will be there for the next 5 years, that's a real win for small market teams, and I think it's a real win for the NBA and its competitive balance as well.
Yeah, talk about markets. Look at what the Houston market did for James Harden.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to be there long term, and he's got a stable front office, and Daryl Morey does a really good job of surrounding talent. Daryl Morey is one of those general managers that swings for the fences. Mm-hmm. And you saw him do that with Dwight Howard a couple of years ago. Now you see him do it with Chris Paul. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Now, did you hear what he said about his team? He said that the team that he has right now, he thinks is as good as the team that he was on when he was at OKC. What do you think about that?
Well, we're all going to find out. That's the beauty of it. And I don't agree. But the dynamic I want to see is how James Harden and Chris Paul play with each other, because both of those guys need the ball in their hands to be effective. So it's going to be interesting to see how both of those guys handle playing with each other and playing off the ball some, because I think both of those guys are going to have to get used to that.
That is definitely going to be something to watch, because I don't know, man. From watching James and all the years he's been playing, he likes to have the ball in his hand, and I just don't see Chris Paul running off of screens. He's a pick and roll guy. I don't know. I got to see that, how that works, how that pans out, whatever. I don't know. But anyways, how about those Lakers, man? You think about this guy Lonzo Ball.
Well, he's certainly drawing rave reviews.
Is he the answer
out of training camp? I think he's going to be a really, really good point guard in this league, and I think he's a guy who's one of the best passers to come into the league in a long time. He's a guy who makes everybody better. He's a guy who has really good leadership ability, and he's pretty much everything a point guard should be. So that'll be interesting to see how he reacts and how he plays, and he's going to be playing with a team full of pros. So, I expect him to start from day one, and we'll see what the results are.
It's a lot of weight for a young boy, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but you know what? The special ones can do it. And the Lakers think he's one of the special ones.
That's cool.
So I mean, LeBron James did it, Dwayne Wade did it, Kevin Durant did it, Magic Johnson did it, Larry Bird did it. The real special guys kind of doesn't matter what age they are. They're just going to be able to do it.
He was definitely part of the popcorn this offseason, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, him and his father.
Yeah.
Well, more his father than him.
Yeah.
Lonzo's really quiet. LeVar does all the talking.
Yeah. So back to OKC. Carmelo's in OKC now. Is he in the farewell stage of his career?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, anybody he was a 22 point, 6 rebounds, 4 assists a game guy last year. So anybody who can do that is still, really, he's not washed.
Yeah, the player rankings they're not very favorable for him.
Yeah, well, those are ridiculous. It was kind of funny to see that.
I think somebody's kids made those rankings or something.
Yeah. That's what happens when you're in the analytic age. People kind of overthink things a little bit. So, I think when you look at Carmelo, he's a guy who's going to really help them offensively. He's going to make a lot of shots, with the shot clock running down. And he really plays really well with when he has a lot of talent on the floor with him, and he plays well at power forward as well. So, I think he's going to be really good.
I think that's going to be a good spot for him too, because it'll allow him to play the floor both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, defensively,
absolutely.
I think he's going to have a good year defensively as well. I'm an undercover Knicks fan, and let me tell you,
it's hard for us, ain't it?
It was hard to see my man go, but I understand it, man. And it's like, wow, you still got it. Go show him, because there's a lot of naysayers out there that don't think he can still do it, and I think that once again, like we keep saying, they might be the answer. That Paul George on the other side, and a flash of Westbrook going on a break, and an addition kicking out for 3 for Melo, or either one of them. I mean, you're going to be a mismatch for everybody. I don't know who's going to be able to keep up with them. They're going to be very fast.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma City is the second best team in the West, and I think that they're the one team in the West that can really put out a formidable challenge to Golden State. Not only with their big three, but they have a shutdown defender on the perimeter, and Andre Roberson.
Yeah.
They have a lot of athletes who can switch defensively. I really like that roster, so I think they're going to be able to win a lot. I think they're going to win a lot of games, and I think that they're going to have a chance to have a really deep playoff run.
What do you think about Kyrie?
Well, I think he's going to have to lead this team, and that's always been the question for him. Can he lead a team where he's clearly the number one option? And he's older than the last time that he was in this position. He's obviously going to have a lot better coaching and a lot better of a scheme than he did the last time he was in this position. So I think the Celtics are going to be just fine, and I think Kyrie's going to play with a chip on his shoulder.
He definitely has to play with a chip on his shoulder, because they are after him, man. I don't know, did you see the interview when he was on ESPN?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I heard about it, and obviously, it was really well talked about.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, he's a very straight to the point dude, and he guarded the whole thing, and I respected that. Because there's a lot of dudes out there that are putting those jerseys on, and if they could drive the bus over somebody, they would. And that's like I respect that a lot. Being a basketball player, you keep that friendship. If you want to continue to be able to communicate and have because guess what, you guys gonna see each other during the season, so you might as well,
Right.
do it the right way. And I respected that. And if there's something that they need to talk about, if there's anything, they can obviously have that conversation.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Um,
Draft lottery reform, man. I was watching this video, and they're talking about the reform and teams tanking, and the opportunity is going to be going more so towards the bottom feeder teams. And uh, I don't see it. It sounds like business as usual to me. I don't see it changing anything. Um,
well, the gist of the whole thing is that, um, basically, the bottom feeding teams don't have as good a odd, or they won't have as good a odds as they did in terms of being able to draw the number one pick. And I think kind of spreading out the odds, it's designed to discourage tanking. We'll see if it works. But I think if the league can, figure out legislation to discourage tanking, then I think that's a good thing. So, we'll see how it works out. But I think, just on the face of it, I think it has a chance to be a good thing for the league.
and also, seems that they're not going to tolerate the kneeling or any type of protest during the national anthem. Just came out
Well,
recently.
the rule is that you have to stand for the anthem, and that's been the rule forever, and that's why Abdul Rauf ran into issues two decades ago.
Right.
Um,
Right.
But I think teams can figure other things out.
Yeah.
In order to get their message across, and to do it, within the rules and the guidelines of what the league sets forward. So, we're gonna find out and see what happens. But I think we'll see some form of protest from some of the teams, but we'll see what happens.
It sounds like it'll be something that they do in unity, and I think it might be in the order of probably T-shirts or videos before games, from what I was reading. And we will see. Usually they do it very tastefully, to make sure that they show that they do support it, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'm gonna leave off with this. Teams to watch.
Oh, that's a handful. Well, obviously Golden State, Oklahoma City, Houston, the Denver Nuggets will be fun to watch. New Orleans Pelicans, Milwaukee Bucks, obviously Cleveland and Boston. Man, it's just going to be a fun league this year.
How about Sacramento?
Yeah, I'm still not there with Sacramento. Kings of the Kings, man. Still not there.
They got a point guard, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, they got George Hill, but and they got Zebo, and but Still not there yet. I'm just.
He's on the fence.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't fall over the fence.
I like Minnesota.
Me too.
You know, so we'll see. So we'll definitely see what happens. But I think it's, you know, the
Did
Western
they have
Conference
enough? Is the question.
Absolutely loaded.
Did they have enough? Did they have enough bullets? Is the question.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they got 3 really, really, really good players. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they work out.
Don't forget about Wiggins.
Yeah, that's the 3. Butler, Wiggins, and Cat.
He is maturing a lot. He's matured a lot, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I guess what's a team that you would say wouldn't make the anywhere near the playoffs this year?
Well, I don't think
just
the Lakers
name one.
Make the playoffs.
Who?
I can guarantee you the Knicks ain't making the playoffs. That's one team.
Oh man, I'm hurting inside.
Can you tell? I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. Can you tell just how salty I am right now? So,
did you just say that? How about those 76ers? Do you think that they're going to do something this year?
Yeah, I think they got a chance to make playoffs. I absolutely do. It depends on how healthy they are, whether they can stay healthy.
Will Simmons see the court?
Particularly with Embiid and Simmons.
Will they see the court?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question. I mean, can these guys stay healthy? If they can stay healthy, they got a real chance.
That's one ticket I'm scared to buy, man. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of Sixers fans are. But, you know, they have a lot of talent on that team, so I'll definitely be interested in watching them play.
Yeah, they're fun to watch when they're all on the court, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's your top 5 players this year in the NBA?
Same as last year. LeBron, KD, Steph, Kawhi, and, you know, my 5th spot always rotates.
Yeah, you did that very diplomatically. I like the way you did that. That was very diplomatic.
That 5th spot open. Those 4, you know, those first 4 are pretty set in stone. That's
like saying who's your top 5 rappers, and the last one you don't want to like feel like you left the dude off, so you just my 5th spot always rotates.
I look at it as the first 4 spots are non-negotiable, and you know that 5th spot, you know who can claim that 5th spot. So, you know, Harden, Westbrook, you know, people like that, you know. I think Giannis could challenge for top 5 status this year.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting.
Wow. Well, Tony, I want to thank you for joining us this evening, and hopefully we'll have you come in, you know, on some other occasions. And just wanted to give you a shout and appreciate you for joining us on the Melted Pot Podcast this evening.
Thanks for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Definitely. We'll be in touch, and let's see what happens. And hopefully we'll be watching, you know, those Lakers. I want to see this kid ball and what his game can do on the main stage. I'm really interested in seeing that. And I'm interested in watching my Knicks play whoever's coming to town.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely interested in seeing them as well.
Okay, my man. We'll catch you next time. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jason Gunn, I appreciate you, homie.
You got it.
They say, don't use it, you lose it. Truth is, true shit. Scared of my power, I didn't do shit. Out of sight, out of mind, I'm elusive. Truth seems getting in the way. The more I understand, the more I run away. This can't be life, all the games niggas play. But if I don't face reality, my dreams slip away.
Thanks for listening to the Melted Pot Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Gunn. We're signing off. Make sure you download so that you can catch us on the next episode. #stay tuned.